All right, good morning, everyone. We will get started right at 10 o'clock, so we'll let some more people in. All right, good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. We are going to go ahead and get started. It is 10 o'clock, and this will be a 30-minute webinar. So today on the screen, as you can see, we'll hear from Craig Zamary, who's the director of HSWERX, and then we'll hear from Leslie Babich, who is the director at SOFWERX, and Carla Heron, who's the director at ENERGYWERX, and you'll learn all about their hubs here in just a few minutes. But to kick us off, I am just going to give a brief overview of DEFENSEWERX. So all three of those hubs that I just mentioned all fall under the corporate organization DEFENSEWERX. So DEFENSEWERX is the 501c3 nonprofit that holds the PIAs with the government partners. And as you can see on the screen, DEFENSEWERX is one of the world's largest innovation ecosystems and enables the agile innovation for government partners through all of these innovation hubs. So over here on the left hand of the circle, you'll see HSWERX, which is where I work. I'm the events and marketing manager for HSWERX. And then also today we'll hear from SOFWERX as well as ENERGYWERX. But DEFENSEWERX does have all of these different innovation hubs underneath of their umbrella. So to give a quick overview, and this is just a quick, easy equation to understand how the hubs are set up. So you've got DEFENSEWERX, like I said, which is the 501c3 nonprofit that will partner with a government organization to create an innovation hub. So you've got DEFENSEWERX plus the United States Special Operations Command that created SOFWERX. And again, each of the hubs will talk about their government partners and what their roles are. But a big thing about DEFENSEWERX is we have a big tent philosophy. So that means that because we're a nonprofit, we can work with anyone. So we can work with any government organization. We work with interagency partners, so bridging that gap between government and government, industry partners, academics. We work with non-traditionals as well as large businesses. So that is a really quick overview of DEFENSEWERX as a whole. And at this time, I am going to turn it over to Craig Zamary to discuss HSWERX.
Thank you very much, Kinsey. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Craig Zamary with DEFENSEWERX and serve as the director for the Homeland Security Innovation Hub, known as HSWERX. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to be here with you all today. If you look to the left side of this slide, left of DEFENSEWERX, you see highlighted there in blue is HSWERX. That's our hub. As Kinsey mentioned, we are one of many innovation hubs in the DEFENSEWERX family. HSWERX, we entered into a partnership intermediary agreement with DHS, S&T, T2C in 2021. Our mission is to enable the rapid discovery, engagement, and acceleration of innovative solutions for the safety and security of the homeland. As many of you know, the Department of Homeland Security was established in 2002, and that was following 9/11. It's the third largest U.S. government agency with over 260,000 employees, and they're dedicated to safeguarding the nation through its diverse and vital components. As you can see here on this slide, there's a number of components that range from U.S. Secret Service, you have TSA, CWMD, which is Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction, U.S. Coast Guard, S&T, which is Science and Technology Directorate, FEMA, and other components that are all working relentlessly to secure our homeland. I'd like to take just a moment and talk a little bit about what makes us unique and why HS works. So we work with industry. By that, we mean that we work with small, medium to large Fortune 500 companies. We work with startups, entrepreneurs, academia, and national labs. We work at the speed of innovation, not at bureaucracy, so we're able to move very rapidly and proactively. We have flexibility through a number of works mechanisms and contracting mechanisms. We do remain neutral. We are neutral facilitators. Our government partners make the final down selects. And if you look at the bottom right corner, that's highlighted and bolded there in white, it says discover, engage, and accelerate. This model, this method has been successfully tried and tested by our organization for over a decade. And it's really meant to find the latest, greatest, best of breed technologies, get them into the hands of the end users as rapidly as possible so that they can secure the homeland. As you can see, there's a number of efforts here which range from airport optimization for TSA to working on vehicle cybersecurity threats to maritime vessels running off of renewable energy as a move away from traditional fossil fuels to an exciting and up and coming in the next couple of weeks, BVLOS, which is Beyond Visual Line of Sight event, to working on 911, which, as many of you know, 911 hasn't really changed that much in the last 40 years. So this is an opportunity to take it to the next level using smartphones, video, text, location, and layering in AI to really take it to the next generation. I'd really like to encourage you all to visit our website. On there, you can find a tab for license. Many are not always aware that you can actually license the technology from Department of Homeland Security as well as other U.S. government agencies. So again, I encourage you to visit the site, look at the different intellectual property that's available there for you to consider of taking licensing and commercializing it and getting it to the market. Again, I encourage you to get involved. Here's a QR code. I know that they'll drop a link in the chat as well for you to join the ecosystem. This is our contact information. We invite you all to bring your passion and your expertise to join our ecosystem and help us solve challenges for Department of Homeland Security. So with that, I'm going to, at this time, turn it over to Leslie Babich, who's the outstanding leadership and has dedicated efforts of her and her team at SOFWERX, along with their esteemed government partner. They've been instrumental in pioneering innovative solutions for their government agencies. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Leslie.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining, and thanks, Craig, for the intro, and Kinsey for the intro to DefenseWERX as well. So go ahead and next slide, please. So much like HSWERX and a lot of the other hubs in the DefenseWERX innovation ecosystem, we are a neutral platform. So again, our whole goal is to bring together solutions providers with our government stakeholders to help them solve challenging problems. For us, our charter is to develop a prototype or prove out concepts and theories much more quickly and more cost effectively than your traditional government processes. Again, we remain neutral during the process because we don't want to get in the way of innovation or solutions providers that have those solutions already either in development or maybe a commercial off the shelf. So again, we want to bring them face-to-face engagement with our stakeholders and the solutions providers so they can get to those solutions pretty quickly. Next slide. Again, our focus is SOCOM, right? So there's Major Force Program $11 that are by law designed and designated to provide soft, peculiar solutions. And what I mean by that is anything that a service provides. For example, a C-130 is purchased by the Air Force, and that is then given to SOCOM. SOCOM will then use those MFP $11 to buy those capabilities that make it a soft, peculiar platform. For an example, a gunship has a 105 millimeter and some other capabilities that a traditional C-130 in the Air Force does not have. So SOCOM uses those dollars to buy those capabilities. And so here, our process really is designed, again, so we get a nomination from SOCOM, and this is a problem they're trying to solve. And I show you this chart only to point out how much more quickly this process can move than your traditional government process. If you're doing FAR-based contracting, it can take up to 2 years, which is pretty standard from the time a government agency or service posts a problem on SAM.gov to the time that they find a vendor that can build it and award it. It's about a 2-year process. So we're trying to get inside of that cycle by leveraging, again, different pathways, different contracting mechanisms to bring that down to a 5 to 6 month process on average. But very quickly, we'll get a problem from SOCOM. That is that nomination, the problem they're trying to solve. We'll figure out where they're at in the process. Do they need to bring together other services and agencies that might be trying to solve the same problem? If that's the case, we'll bring all those entities together, help them define their problem statements. The next step is engaging with the solutions providers that Kinsey pointed out on the first slide, right? Our whole innovation ecosystem. Again, to bring them face to face with our SOCOM stakeholders so that they can hear from them face to face the problem they're trying to solve, their limitations, what their pain points are. And then the SOCOM stakeholders can hear directly from solutions providers, hey, this is what's in the art of the possible. This is a solution that's either TRL4, early stage development, or maybe commercial off the shelf that can help solve that problem. Again, define those best of breed technologies to bring them all together. And then we will have assessment events based on what the SOCOM stakeholders have learned from the solutions providers to put together those criteria. We call them desirements. In the FAR-based world, they're called requirements. And we will have assessment criteria based on what they've learned and what they want to have on that capability so that the solutions providers can submit white papers saying, hey, here's my tech, here's how we use it to solve your problem. And then we push those to the government stakeholders for them to assess and do their initial down selects, bring those folks that were initially down selected in for a more in-depth discussion and or maybe a technology demonstration before SOCOM chooses a company or companies that they actually want to do work with. One of the, I think, interesting things about the DefenseWERX ecosystem and the processes are that we can partner with other agencies and services if they have a cross-cutting problem. So that allows the government to co-fund finding solutions, which is a great use of taxpayer dollars and time. Again, it shows the different mechanisms on the right, but I think one thing to point out is that we can execute commercial agreements instead of government contracts. And those are done much more quickly. Again, once SOCOM decides a company or companies they want to work with, we can have those agreements signed and funded, and the company starting to do the work traditionally within 30 days of SOCOM making a decision. So again, really just kind of outlining the time here. Next slide, please. This is just an example of how many engagements that we have done over the past, 9 years now. We were established in 2015. The collaborative project orders, again, that's how we get the funding from our government partners to focus on a problem. And then the types of events you'll see in that closed-in box. And then finally, the results of those events are the projects. Right now, we have about 100 projects going on. 443 have been completed. So again, that's just kind of the flow. The events that we host are focused on a problem that SOCOM is trying to solve, but we, as well as a lot of the other hubs, also do some tech scouting. The format that we use is a virtual forum called Tech Tuesday, where a company will have an opportunity to pitch their capability to a government-only audience. So again, it's a very good way for you to get exposure. So events and Tech Tuesday, I would say, are the main two pathways for anybody with a potential solution to engage with our stakeholders. Next slide. We also, again, try and do a lot of engagement with industry, not just doing tech scouting, but doing trying to help educate small businesses on how to do business with DoD, in particular for us, SOCOM. So we did launch a series, a small business bootcamp series a couple of years ago to help educate. And again, this is free of charge for anybody that wants to attend, obviously other than travel, but it will allow you to get some education on how to do business with DoD, as well as engage with stakeholders from SOCOM, the investment community, and also DoD primes. Next slide. Again, why SOFWERX, low barrier of entry, which Craig already briefed. In addition to that, everything that we do is unclassified. We want to make sure that anybody has a solution is not barred from presenting that solution if they don't have a clearance. We found that most technologies themselves are not classified as the end use case or the user or the data that you put into it. So keeping that funnel wide open at the very beginning to allow everybody to participate. And again, the non-FAR business mechanisms are very, very important. Not everybody is structured to do a FAR-based contract, so we don't want that to be a barrier either. 81% of our submissions for each of our events do come from our non-traditional ecosystem. And so that, again, a very good way to just kind of dip your toe in the water and see if doing business with DoD is something you might be interested in. And the next slide is really just our links on how to engage and get involved. If you haven't had a chance to go to our webpage, I highly recommend it. We have, I think, 5 events posted. 1 new one should be posted this week. So again, business opportunities, and we can support anybody in SOCOM. So you're going to see a range of solutions that they're looking for. And with that, I will hand it over to Carla.
All righty. Thank you, Leslie. I'm Carla Heron, Director for ENERGYWERX. We are one of the newer hubs that joined DEFENSEWERX. And actually, my 1-year anniversary is Saturday. So that was really the beginning of our current team coming over to support the Department of Energy. And unlike a little bit of what Craig and Leslie are doing, which is looking out and looking for opportunities, DOE really needed an arm that was working for them. They have a lot of opportunities, and that's what they're referring to these as, that are available for small and medium manufacturers, small businesses, especially focused in economically disadvantaged areas, to participate in some of the different programs that DOE has available. But their challenge had been outreach. They were always seeing the usual suspects, if you will, the same companies, the same government contracting companies trying to reach out to them. And one of DOE's mission is to get beyond that and to move to a different engagement platform. And that's really where the partnership intermediary agreement came into play. So next slide, please. So this is just, I won't read this to you, but the real crux of the matter is we're a young hub. We really were founded in April of 2023, became operational in late June of 2023. And we're really here to serve DOE and to support their current programs and to ensure engagement out to domestic entities. That includes territories, and with approval, and that includes legal and agreements, there can be some non-domestic entities supporting, in particular, some of the more challenging aspects of energy. And I'm thinking particularly geothermal. The U.S. Is looking at doing more with that, but a lot of the true experts in the field are not domestic. So with approval, we are able to go outside of just the traditional domestic entities. So next slide, please. So this is just a little bit of by the numbers. A lot has happened in 1 year, and DOE found they had a lot of opportunities that they weren't getting the results and the applications that they had been looking for. So by engaging with ENERGYWERX and our taking a bit of an out-of-the-box approach, we were really able to extend the message and to push the mission to the point where from a 15 project 2-year pilot, DOE is already they have exercised all 5 years, and we are at more than 40 opportunities that have already been extended to the energy ecosystem in the U.S. And we have hit coast to coast and territories as far as applications, engagements, and encouraging future opportunities to either have continuing rounds or to establish new ideas that they hadn't originally planned on doing through the PIA. The good thing that we found recently is several of the opportunities have been run through other mechanisms previously, and now that they are being run through the PIA, they're finding significant engagement, more applications, better quality applications, to the point that they are doubling, sometimes even more so, their budgets in order to fund all of the different applicants that are coming in that have new innovative ways of addressing certain energy problems, strategies, grid resilience. There's a variety of topics. And the one key, I love what Leslie was able to say, that over 80% of our applicants are non-traditional. We're also striving for that right now. We're at 77%. And that was really kind of a key mechanism that DOE was looking for, because they weren't looking for the usual participants. They were trying to expand that engagement. That has also driven the national labs to reach out to us and to start to talk about how we were able to do this successfully, because they had been struggling with getting to a wider swath of domestic applicants than, and we are basically kind of showing them the way. And so that was really the key metric that has driven a lot of the future work that is coming our way, that we really are able to break that barrier and get outside of the usual applicants. And so next slide, please. I wouldn't want anyone to have to read this in detail, but the key is we have certain areas that we're looking at in particular. One key program that DOE has is industrial assessment centers. And while I show 4 entities under that we've done, really you have to break that out. In each one of those, there are multiple rounds, if not tracks, of what we have been doing. We're also working on the voucher programs, and we talk about being in voucher season right now. We have 10 current voucher opportunities that are open, and that is really identifying experts, providers, testing facilities, etc., in the first round of that, as well as potential recipients of these services being offered. And again, this is a coast to coast shaking the trees and looking for entities that are trying to commercialize products that they are developing, finding ways to help strengthen what they are planning to take to market. And in some cases, helping them to form partnerships or collaboratives to improve or to strengthen the products they have. We're also focused on analysis, strategy, and security. Again, I've mentioned grid resilience. We're looking for experts in a variety of technology verticals for DOE, as well as helping to establish panels that are helping to guide DOE as they are planning for the future. And then finally, building collaboratives and consortia. That has been a big push, especially we're doing some regional and state-based collaboratives where they are trying to not just have universities involved, but it's universities with local nonprofits, with local and regional governments in some cases. North Carolina and South Carolina are working together in one of the collaboratives, as well as pulling in developers and pulling in key stakeholders so that they are identifying ways that they can improve and strengthen certain elements that they are trying to perhaps improve siting and permitting, or finding a better way to establish a standard by which neighboring states are able to better tie in grids to each other or utilize the same types of renewable energies and support the future use that is going to need to be not so myopic and looking only at a local or a state way of doing business, but to look on a broader scale and not necessarily dictated by DOE. DOE is facilitating states working together to identify a better way of doing business and to sharing their energy resources or to maximizing their potential. One of the key statements out of a meeting yesterday was a lot of energy is produced. They're having a hard time sharing it with their neighbors. And that's one of the things that we're focused on right now. So as we look at the map, you can see that we have really crossed all of the states are involved at this point. We are also reaching out to territories. In some cases, it's more challenging to get the territories involved. They often aren't thinking about being part of some of these opportunities. So we have put extra effort into engaging them. I'd like to highlight Puerto Rico. They have particularly been active in the applications. The other thing we're also doing is not just looking at states, but again, we're looking by regions. We're also working very heavily with a lot of the tribal nations and a lot of the tribal organizations that are tribal led, native led, and trying to work with them because it's really critical that their areas are also part of what DOE is pushing to move forward on. And so that's a pretty quick synopsis of all of the work we've been doing. The contact information is there. And the one note that we do let people know is we are really working with DOE and bringing DOE's opportunities out to the masses as opposed to trying to find new technology to bring into DOE. It's a little different type of partnership. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carla. Really appreciate it. Thank you to Craig and Leslie and Carla for those really, really good briefs and overviews of those hubs. So we are going to move into a question and answer session. We have about 5 minutes. We have posted the link in the chat. Bridget posted that during Leslie's brief, that if people had questions to go ahead and put them there. We've gotten a couple questions and I'm going to go ahead and start with Craig. So Craig, the first question we received for HSWERX is, what if I have an innovative solution that doesn't fit a current opportunity?
Thanks, Kinsey. That's a great question. I'd say, as we mentioned before, start by joining the ecosystem. Encourage you to submit your capability. We have an intake form. And as you heard from Leslie and Carla, this is just 2 other hubs besides our on this call today. We're a family of innovation hubs. There's a number of efforts that are ongoing that are posted out there quite frequently. So encourage you to take a look at our hubs as well as the other DefenseWERX hubs and find opportunities that really align with your strengths. So appreciate the question.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Craig. And I'm going to jump over to Leslie. We've got 2 questions for SOFWERX. What is the biggest difference between innovation organizations like AFWERX and the DefenseWERX hubs?
All right, great question, Kenzie, and I hear this one a lot. So the biggest difference is that the DefenseWERX Innovation Hubs, it's a commercial entity and we're a nonprofit, we're a neutral entity. So all of the DefenseWERX employees are commercial employees. As AFWERX is just a different kind of model. They have government employees, military, GS, and contractors. And the biggest difference, again, outside of the types of employees, is the mechanisms that you can use to put people on agreements or contracts. So again, the DefenseWERX PIA has the capability to do commercial agreements. Again, much lower barriers of entry and requirements for a company. It could be a person working in a garage can set up an agreement with SOCOM through SOFWERX if they have a solution. Whereas AFWERX is still doing government contracts.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you for that. And then one more question for you. Are there any constraints on who can be a part of the ecosystem?
No, and I think this would actually, I'll also be able to answer the question by Aaron Boyd, like the rules for traditional defense contractors. There is no restrictions. There's no constraints. Anybody can participate in the collaboration events and the assessment events. In fact, I highly encourage traditional contractors to participate in the collaboration events. It's a great opportunity for people with similar solutions or maybe complementary solutions to network and maybe form, maybe a joint effort or joint solution proposal for one of those problems that SOCOM's trying to solve. So unlike small business office where they have to award to small business, this allows SOCOM and the other government stakeholders that have PIAs to find that best of breed technology regardless of where it comes from, and also be able to knit those technologies together if that's appropriate.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for answering his question as well. That looped in really well. So thank you, Leslie. Appreciate those answers. Super helpful. And then 2 questions really quickly for ENERGYWERX. The number 1 question is, why is the Department of Energy utilizing the PIA instead of the usual mechanisms?
All right, thanks. So I think I kind of addressed this to begin with. They were looking for a different mechanism. And the real advantage of working with the PIA is to get out of their own way, to find a new way of doing business. They have been doing the funding opportunity announcements, the FOAs as they called them, similar to working through FAR-based, and they found it very limiting. And the one advantage we've really brought is the potential performer research and really going out and identifying those entities who haven't worked with DOE in the past. And that was a major turning point for DOE and their outreach that they're doing.
Awesome. Thank you. And then second question for ENERGYWERX is, what are the advantages or disadvantages of using the PIA for engaging performers?
I think the real advantage is that they are, the performers themselves are finding this to be a much more effective and efficient method for applying. And as well as, instead of going into the black hole, Leslie mentioned, it takes 2 years for a lot of the FAR-based contracting to go from inception to actual award. We have really tailored that down to a few months. We'd love to be at the 30-day, but we are still doing full and open competitions. And with that are webinars and applications and down selections, but still the time frame with which they can move is so much more streamlined than what they were doing in many of the other traditional methods. That has been a resounding response we've seen on the surveys from the awardees and the others who are participating, is that this is a much more effective way of doing business.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carla. Again, thank you to Craig and to Leslie and to Carla for explaining more about the DefenseWERX hubs. This has been the second webinar we've done in this series, and we're going to continue it with the other hubs that are in our DefenseWERX family in the future. Thank you for all your questions. If we didn't get to your questions, we will try to respond within the Slido platform, or we'll answer them in future webinars. So it is 10:30. We're going to jump off and make sure that we're not going over on time, but really appreciate everyone who joined today. Be sure to take a look at all of the websites and then keep a look out on social media for our next webinar. Thanks, and everybody have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Kinsey.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.